are you?
I'm doing well, man. Life's good. Nice journey going on.
Hmm.
Ups and downs. That's part of the journey of it.
Could you explain your journey? What's going on right now?
Part of the journey is helping out a lot of people, changing people's lives.
Hmm.
And I get a lot of enjoyment and goosebumps from that too as well. And that's when I think I'm most at peace,
Hmm.
when I'm helping people too as well. But then you have things that happen in your own inner circle, like parents getting older, things like that,
Hmm.
where it changes like some of the chapters that are going on in your story,
Yes.
and it's made certain things evolve out of me, like more kindness, where it wasn't that I wasn't kind before, but there's
Hmm.
like a different level of kindness that's coming out of me too as well.
And that kindness you're talking about, were you not a kind person before? Are did it just
Yeah,
start happening later in life with you maturing and
it's maturing. Like the kindness has always been there. Like
hmm
that's been the foundation of my business, like
yeah.
coaching, and I love it. But I think there's kindness where it's strategic and you're doing it for a reason other than just for being kind too as well.
Hmm.
And so it's even just kindness towards myself too as well.
I think that's what people forget, that the
Yeah,
first person you have to
yeah,
be kind to is yourself.
yeah. So I think that was like a breakthrough for me, relearning that because I'm so kind to people, especially the people I coach. I
Hmm.
coach a lot of people through like they come to us for, they might be having trauma, they be having this, they need a restart, and I'm able to help them through that stuff too as well. And I'm
Hmm.
extremely kind to them. And sometimes I forget to put the oxygen mask on myself, the psychological one where I'm kind to myself,
Uh-huh.
because I have a like very high standard on myself. And that works well until it doesn't work well, you know? If you're not kind to yourself, it can, what I find, that success mechanism
Hmm.
gets overcharged and clogged.
Can you share in when you were not kind to yourself?
There are times when I'm not kind to myself. That's a good question. Maybe if I'm not meeting certain standards that I set up for myself. And so, like for me, there's positive motivation, there's negative motivation,
Hmm.
right? Like you have like the Tony Robbins, you have the David Goggins, and there's a mix of stuff.
Hmm.
And a large portion of my life, I've used the where you don't necessarily bully yourself, but like
Hmm.
there's the shadow dark side that comes out, right? Like
Yeah. Do you realize it's happening at that moment that you're not being kind to yourself? Like,
in the past, I would know that, but I would have a psychological distance between that and myself, right? Like you look at people like Kobe Bryant, he brought up like the black mamba. So he had,
yeah, the mama
yeah, the
mentality.
mama mentality. And so what I've learned over the years, I'd create different personalities for myself.
Hmm.
So I'd create some psychological distance between whoever Chris is and this other individual.
Hmm.
And that works until it doesn't work anymore. Then you gotta find a new strategy too as well. So like some of the things that might happen in the inner circle, family members going through some stuff,
Hmm.
you handle that, you're like, oh, that same energy that I use for other things, it doesn't mesh well with this new energy because now I need to have a little bit more compassion and empathy.
Hmm.
And I saw like a funny meme recently. You ever seen like Skeletor
Yes.
from He-Man? Um, and he joked and said, like I don't have any rage in field. I don't have the rage in me, so I don't have those rage and field workouts anymore.
Hmm.
Which is actually sometimes for a guy, rage field workouts are amazing.
Yes, because you are able to push the
You're able to push through the limits, but again, if like you use that same energy source all the time, it's not good.
because you're burning out.
You're burning out too as well. So like learning to be kind is when I'm like, all right, I don't have to be on all the time.
Hmm.
Not pushing the gas pedal all the time, and maybe like pull it back and work smarter and work kinder too as well.
Yeah, your body is an engine. If you're constantly
Yeah.
full throttle,
Yeah.
the engine's gonna overheat.
Yeah. So I had to relearn that. I was like, because I've always been kind to myself, Like if you look at our clients and the people that have been with us for years, that's the number one thing they say is
Can
like,
you tell for the audience what you did?
yeah, what do I do?
I heard the word coaching.
Yeah, coaching. If we're on the surface level, I own a gym, I coach people. I don't coach anymore, but I coach the coaches. So on the surface level, we coach people to get healthier and fitter.
Hmm.
But like on that deeper identity base, I help change lives. Um, there's people that are going through divorce. There's people that don't like the way they look, and that
Hmm.
affects everything they
Is
do.
that the biggest motivation why people want to get coached, go into your gym? Is because they're going through some sort of mental issue, like divorce, you said. Eh,
There's so many like stories and avatars too. There's people that have been lone wolves and they've
mhm,
been trying to get in shape, for X amount of time. They hit a plateau, they lose motivation, maybe they get depressed. They're like, all right, shit, I need to do something. And so they'll reach out to us too as well. We also have people that are great, they're already in shape. They just need to like fine tune it. But what I do notice, and especially with women, I have found this, it's a lot of mental health. Yeah, and not that it doesn't affect guys, but that's the big trend for me lately. And
are the majority of your clients women?
right now, it's I would say about 65% women, and then the rest are men. Yeah, it used to be inverted when I started, but it's
Hmm.
mostly women.
So what separates your gym?
It's a really good question. I started in 2009.
Oh, congratulations for
The
being open for quite.
Yeah, super battle tested. So the backstory on why I started Terra Nova Fitness, I was at first an independent trainer at these big box gyms,
Okay.
which you're not necessarily supposed to do. And I
Hmm.
get it because I own a gym now. I would see new people come in and I'm kind of like Sherlock Holmes. I'm very observant. And
Hmm.
they'd walk in and right away I can tell they're not a gym person.
Yeah.
They look around, they're like, oh shit, like this is intimidating. Like, what's going on here? It's like a jungle and sometimes you wouldn't see them again. Um, and then I would see them get like a tour from gym staff, and the gym staff would just lead them around like a stray dog
Hmm.
and like point to an elliptical, not even look back. And it just felt like this awkward first date.
Hmm.
And then, I'm observing, especially like psychology, human behavior. And this person gave this look like, hey, I didn't feel seen. Like, you didn't ask me any questions about my health, my fitness, what I've tried in the past, all these things like that. And then, like, I thought there had to be a better way. And sometimes I'd have conversations with these people. Some of these people are like freaking brilliant people at Stanford, brilliant people, but they just weren't gym people.
Hmm.
So I thought there had to be a better way. And that's why I created the business. Um,
So you made it more personable.
it's more personal. Like, I don't do the transactional stuff. I just don't. It's actually I've had really good mentors. So one of my mentors taught me, I was like, we're in the change in life business. And when you actually have those connections with people and you're actually able to, they're doing the work.
Yeah, like how can you not change someone's life if you don't get to know them on a
Yeah.
one-to-one basis?
Yeah. And I genuinely mean that. Like when I meet with new people, it's like I tell them that story and it's genuine because
Hmm.
it was like it drains my soul to have anybody come into our facility and not have eye contact,
Yeah.
not doing a check-in with me. Like I don't want that. It's not transactional for me. And so even when we come in, I will meet with people for like 90 minutes. Like I'm in no rush. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that mentality really helps your business thrive
Yeah.
because they're like, hey, this guy is not like pushing me.
That's the biggest thing. And that's the other passion I have is sales. And I think sales gets a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah.
But like really ethical sales, it's collaborative.
Hmm.
It's not me trying to convince you, it's us working on the problem. And a lot of people already know the answers, but like they don't trust in themselves. Maybe they've tried things in the past. So all right, I've been there, done that. I don't trust that. maybe they're skeptical of this new place that they're coming in, which is completely normal. And they they don't believe that they can actually do that. And so part of my skill set, and which I really love too, is when somebody comes in, they're a little apprehensive, they're a little shut off, and the ability to kind of get them to loosen up
Mhm.
and build a connection. Because I don't want to coach somebody. And here's the other thing: I made the promise to my staff and my team. I'm never going to bring somebody in that's not going to appreciate you
Mhm.
and appreciate the connection and appreciate that you actually helping them and give a damn.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of like the gatekeeper for my staff too, as well.
Yeah, it
And my team has been with me for like over 5 years.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It seems like you definitely turn your passion of sales, fitness,
Yeah.
and coaching into a model that you're continuing to adjust for your business.
Continuing, and we're always learning. The best feedback I get is from clients and members that have been in this for years.
Mhm.
And I'll ask them, like, every 4 weeks we have success weekend,
Mhm.
success week, progress check-in. It took me years to figure it out. Most people kind of know what to do, move it in the right direction, but nobody's holding them accountable. And so I think like a really good coach tells you what you need to hear in a kind way and kind of holds your feet to the fire. And we all need that. I need that. I have coaches. I've always had a coach. I pay thousands of dollars a year for coaching.
Oh, wow.
Still, I mean, I've spent well over 6 figures on coaching. I still have a business coach to this day, like always.
Were you scared about the financial investment of like your ROI? Because you're basically paying someone to tell you what to do
Yeah.
or for advice.
Yeah. There's part of that. And like, it's a question everybody should ask themselves. There's a guy, I think it was Zig Ziglar. He said, he was like, if you think that's expensive, wait till you get the bill for not doing it.
Oh, wow.
And so like being a business owner, it's really important to know, for example, all right, I put in this much into the piggy bank. How many new clients do I need
Mhm.
to break even? And how many new clients do I need to get an ROI? And so I flip the script on that and I look at it as an investment. And I also look at it the long term game. So I'll be more patient than my competitors. I'll have that macro patience and then micro impatience, meaning long term game.
Mhm.
I know the road ahead. It's like the Wizard of Oz. I need accountability. I need coaching.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to get to the Emerald City like the next day. So I'm willing to play that long game. But it is scary though. It is. I've spent tons of money on it. Yeah.
As a business owner, we're both fellow business
Yeah.
owners. What's your advice to other people like in this scary economy, scary world that hey, I do want to possibly leave corporate life
Yeah.
and try my own thing even if it fails.
Yeah. I would say the number one thing is be paranoid about improving your skill set.
I
Skill,
totally understand that.
skill set, and obviously meeting new people. Like new people are like a portal. I've met like before I started my gym, I crisscrossed the country.
Mhm.
I read all these books. I would email one of my first mentors, Mike Boyle. He's called the Godfather of strength and conditioning. Emailed him. He responds in like an hour. I'm like, hey, can I come out to Boston? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going. So crisscrossing here.
So and you just some random email
Yeah.
of some figure that you wanted to meet.
Yeah. That I deeply admired. And I did this for years.
That's courage.
Oh, dude, like, yeah, 100%. So that's part of my personality. To learn about fire, you got to get burned. And so I'll jump in the
'Cause a
fire.
lot of people are so like, "Nah, this person's not gonna waste their time on me," but they
Yeah.
never had that initial
Yeah.
reaching out,
Yeah.
like a guy trying to chase a girl at a bar. How are you gonna get her phone number
Yeah.
without even talking to her? What's the worst thing? No,
What's the worst thing that can happen? Right.
no.
Yeah, it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the best thing that can happen?
Yeah.
And looking at it as an adventure. But back to your question too, the advice is every single day, increase your skill set. What are your skills that you bring to the table? For me, even if I'm driving, I'm talking into my phone all the time. I'm practicing what I'm going to say
Mhm.
when I do presentations. I'm practicing what I'm going to say to my staff. And I don't believe in scripts. I do believe in scripts, just don't sound scripted,
Oh, yes.
right? Like
Yes.
Denzel Washington, all of your favorite actors, they're all reading scripts. They don't sound scripted though.
Sounds very
It
natural.
sounds very natural. And so I I I call it automobile university. So if I'm driving, like it took me what, like an hour, 20 minutes to get here, right?
Yeah, thank you for making the drive.
Oh, dude, my pleasure, dude. Um, I'm listening to stuff. I'm
Mhm.
I didn't do it this time purposely because I didn't want anything to influence me.
Yes.
But if I'm taking 45 minutes, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm talking to myself, I'm practicing this, I'm practicing different frames, um, different ideas, and then I'm playing it back to myself to see how I sound. And then I criticize myself too in a good and bad way. So that's the number one thing. Advice to people is, are you practicing your skill sets every day? Because if you practice your skill sets every day and you go in any ecosystem, any place, and you can communicate that stuff,
Mhm.
you're going to be valuable. And so, and as far as the fear, that's another thing. So I'll give an example. I have somebody in my family technically smarter than me, went to a, really good school, love him to death,
Technically smarter.
technically smarter, like book smart and all that stuff. I will go through 10 iterations when he's thinking 10 times in his head.
Mhm.
So I'll be fire ready aim and I'll get feedback. I'll get an idea. I do think entrepreneurship, I think it's a spiritual journey.
Yes.
I truly think it's a spiritual journey. I was having conversations with a few people we both know about this very topic. And he mentioned, you know, he was talking to somebody really smart, very intelligent, right?
Mhm.
And this person said, I have this fear. That means you're human, but I invert the fear. I'm like, it's fearful. It's an energy buildup. So I'm going to use it and get the butterflies to go in formation. So I
Mhm.
use it as an energy source. It either consumes you. I think John Jones talks about this, where it's like the fire can consume you, or you like create a fireball and like this. And so I invert the fear. I use that as an energy source. And I think that's part of it. It's a spiritual thing. I find entrepreneurs, creative people, there's a spiritual component to it. They're drawn to it. It's
Yes.
like almost like it's not a choice, too.
So, like, I've had this talk with other people, like you said, smart.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are having a fear of being dumb,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, I think you should go to a room where you may be the dumbest in the room
100%.
because you know all that knowledge you're going to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly the smartest in the
Yeah.
room,
Yeah.
what are you going to learn?
You're not growing.
You're not growing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
100%.
continue. I personally have a lot of intelligence, I feel like, but
Yeah.
I want to be at times the dumbest in the room.
Yeah.
I want to go to a situation that I don't know nothing about,
Yeah. Yeah.
where people around me are like 10 times smarter.
Yeah.
But by the fourth time you're hanging out with them, you're understanding everything that they're talking about in a short amount of
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Osmosis.
Yes.
Yeah. Osmosis. I love that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
Like I go towards it. There's this great quote, I think, God, by Campbell. He says, "The cave you fear to enter has the treasure you seek." And it's one of my favorite quotes. I'm like, I've been in rooms where, all right, I'm at a certain level of what I think, success is. Then I've been in rooms where like, I'm uncomfortable and I like it,
Yeah.
where it's like, whoa. And I love having these conversations with people. And what I found is, as long as I'm curious,
Yes.
I don't give a damn if I sound stupid.
Yeah.
I'd rather be the, and this is something I learned from one of my mentors. He would, he would be the keynote speaker, and he's like sitting next to me, taking notes, asking the dumb question.
Mhm.
And so, like, I had really good mentors where it's like, No, man, like I will raise my hand and sound dumb, whatever, so I can feel eventually smart.
Yeah,
Because I look at it like I'm a leverage hunter. I'm on the prowl. I'm hunting for some new knowledge.
yeah.
So I actually love that feeling of feeling uncomfortable. I'm like, whoa, I'm the slowest person here. I'm going to get faster too as
Mhm.
well. And I think that's inverted where a lot of people might be smart, but they don't want to sound or look dumb.
Yeah.
Whereas like my background, I was kicked out of every school I've ever been to. Grade
Did you
school,
did you finish college?
I got kicked out of college.
I didn't finish college
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, I got kicked out. And it's interesting. I'm obsessed with learning. I'm learning all the time. I think just that model didn't work for me. Um, I wish I could have probably done it a little bit better,
Mhm.
but that model didn't work for me.
It doesn't work for
It
everybody,
doesn't work
and
for
it doesn't
everyone.
mean that you're not going to be successful.
Yeah,
And I just don't like how corporations only look for completion of college as one of the basis of employment,
yeah,
because you could be running circles around their employees, but they just never gave you that opportunity
yeah,
because, according to them, you don't meet their credential.
yeah,
Unless you have an in, where
yeah.
they're like someone's already vetting you from inside, but not everyone has that in.
No, not everyone has that in. That everyone has the opportunity or their means to as well.
Yeah,
It's similar. Like, or you got a black belt, but this guy's been fighting his whole life and he's battle tested.
yeah,
You know, I know people that have MBAs, like Masters of Business Administration, but it's like they're still in the thinking phase.
yes. They're not in the doing
They're
phase.
not in the doing phase. Whereas my mentality, as always, I was the kid who was always like talking out of order. And so I was action, 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 and getting feedback too as well. So I would say, again, going back to that, increase your skill sets and get out of your comfort zone. You'll get more comfortable too, to the point where if I'm not doing something that's uncomfortable, I feel uncomfortable.
So, by increasing your skill sets, do you ever feel like you just get good at a bunch of things, but never really master anything?
That's actually a good question. I was having a discussion with somebody else and I've flipped it now because I think in the past, if you were a specialist,
Yes.
it was amazing. But I now in this like emerging world in I think you need to see the full constellation of the stars
Yeah.
and you need to be able to cross pollinate. Because I think the ultimate, we had this discussion with a mastermind group I was in like 7, 8 years ago. It was all business owners.
Yeah.
And we asked each other, what's the number one thing an entrepreneur needs? The number one thing. And me and this other guy agreed it's resourcefulness.
Hmm.
It's resourcefulness. So if I know 10 things, maybe at an 8 to 10 level,
Hmm.
I at least know where to go to ask questions to get to 9 and 10, whether that's asking somebody else. And so I can connect and cross pollinate too as well and get somebody who's maybe smarter than me to do it. But I know enough to ask intelligent questions and kind of drive the vision too. So I think it's actually somebody who has general knowledge that
Yeah.
can connect the dots. It's, if you're looking at the stars, you're a specialist on the Big Dipper, but you don't recognize these other stars. There's a whole world out there.
And I feel like I'm going through that because in my world, I believed I was a specialist in audio.
Yeah.
And then audio is one half of the equation. And I was like, why don't I do video?
Mm,
And that's why I formed this podcast.
yeah.
This podcast was triggered by me having deep talks with a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and she inspired me to do this podcast. But I was like, I have all this equipment,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was just always scared
Mm,
of doing video because no one has ever taught me video. And I spent years and years of learning audio, like how to make music composition, recording, hours and hours and hours of recording.
yeah.
But I'm very new to this whole video industry,
Yeah.
but I'm learning at a rapid pace
Yeah.
because I think, like you said, I went into that dark cave,
Yeah.
and right now I'm finding a whole treasure cove
Yeah. 100%.
with this video. It's creating a lot of opportunities with me. Now I'm having great conversations with people like
Yeah.
yourself, and
Yeah.
I'm very new to this podcast thing, but I love it. Like sparking interest, sparking talk.
Yeah.
It's making me a better speaker. So when I am in person having conversations with people I haven't met before, I feel like my conversations are getting better.
I think it's the ultimate skill. And then, like, I have a question for you. Like, when you felt that scary feeling, like, how did you process that too? Because people process like being scared in different ways too as well.
Mhm.
Like, how did you process that?
I think like for months I was just like, even years, I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, that internal dialogue.
Yeah. And then once I started doing it, I'm like, this is easy because
Uh,
I'm a problem solver.
yeah,
I always been good at problem solving.
yeah,
I'm very analytical and technical person.
yeah,
And now like the first time I set up the podcast set, it took me so long. And now it's like you witnessed it today.
yeah.
I was very methodical,
You're iterating. You're iterating.
iterating. I was
Yeah,
thinking every step
yeah.
and I did it in a short amount of time.
And then you mentioned like your skill set that you had in audio.
Mhm.
It helped you in the video world
Oh,
as
of
well.
course, because if you don't have good audio and video, it's not gonna hit the same.
Yeah,
It's like, would Marvel put out a movie if the audio was shitty?
yeah. It's one of the most important things.
It is the most important thing. It's because it's what you feel.
Yeah,
Your eyes will only see a video if there's but if the audio isn't captivating,
yeah.
it doesn't work.
It's got to draw you in,
It
right?
got
It's
to
got
draw
to
you
draw
in.
you in. Yeah, it's that curiosity. It's, it's like that. You ever watch the Scooby Doo when they're kind of drawn into this like place? It's got
Mhm.
to lure you in and you want to feel good about it too, as well. So,
It's like why some of the best lawyers are good at what they do is because they could either captivate the juror
mm,
or the judge
yeah,
and portray a picture.
yeah.
And if you captivate it enough, you could sway
Oh, yeah.
the judge or the juror
Yeah,
a certain way.
yeah.
But a different lawyer without proper speaking ability may lose the case because they didn't portray the picture properly.
Yeah, they did portray it properly too. And it goes back to that question of like the skill sets.
Hmm.
With sales, which I freaking love. I love it to death
Hmm.
because you can change people's lives. And the best sales is when the other person feels great about it.
Hmm.
Like they're thanking you
Yeah.
because I believe in sales where they self select. And so it's me asking questions, but I didn't get at what I think level I'm at just by like reading. I'm constantly like on my phone, there's hundreds of audio recordings on myself. I'm practicing tonality. I'm practicing pauses. I'm practicing. Do I sound like I'm full of shit? Like, do I sound authentic?
Hmm.
And it's so true how you present stuff too as well. I can't give it away because it's confidential, but I get a lot of high powered people that come through my place.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the LinkedIn crowd, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so we had a well-known DA, and this person, I would always ask this person questions, so interested. It's like, what are some of the tools of the trade you do to figure out like selecting jury? And I don't want to name the gender to give it away, but let's just say this person, they would tell a story or a joke and see who would laugh at their joke. They see was kind of open to their personality too.
Oh, yeah.
And also, it was not just communicating with the jury, it was like really reading the judge too and what mood they were in and really kind of navigating that and being able to read that too. So I love meeting other people that are like at a high level. I'm like, dude, how do you do this? Like, how do you navigate this? Because I think a lot of the solutions for my business come from outside places. That's another reason I love what I do. And again, I no longer really coach people, unless it's very high end, but I coach the coaches and mentor. But I have conversations with people all the time. And these are very well known people in different business ecosystems. and I love having conversations because I want to pick their brain and I'm very curious. And so I'll ask them like, all right, how did you deal with this situation?
What was your first sales job like when you said, "I love sales"? Like,
You know, I didn't always love sales. I believe it or not, the first sales job I had, I was working at like a peace organization.
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was working at a peace organization, and the job was to call people and try to get donations. And they provided no training.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they just threw you in there, and it wasn't pretty. And everyone has that story of that. I just fell into it because I happened to be very well at what I did. Like
Mhm.
I had great mentors standing on the shoulders of giants. So I would come back from a trip and I would do things that other coaches and trainers wouldn't be able to do. Like somebody comes in, knee pain. I don't care if it's A to Z, what age group, I can perform magic. And I was kind of arrogant about it too. Right.
Mhm.
And so they got bought in really well. It's like somebody doing a magic trick. They're like, oh, this guy knows magic. It wasn't till I got to a point where my business like hit, I was stuck at a certain level. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And then I got another mentor and he said, Chris, you increase, I mean, I see your bookshelf. It's all fitness, physical therapy, like, you got like 3 or 4 books on business. You need to get to the point where you have more books on sales, marketing, business, psychology. And he asked me the question is like, if you improve your fitness skills by 5%, how much more money are you going to make? I was like, I don't know. You improve your sales skills by 5%, how much more money are you going to make?
And the light bulb
The
came on.
light bulb went off. I was like, oh, the light bulb went out. It learn about psychology. Like, why are some people stuck in this story where they can't see that they're capable of doing something? And so I started learning it's not just about me. They have to trust us.
Mhm.
They have to trust the process.
Yeah.
Here's the most important thing. They have to trust themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't trust themselves. And a lot of people aren't good at making decisions. And so it's a muscle. And so I had to learn like how, where they are. All right, they trust us, they trust me, they like me, but they've been in so many bad situations
Mhm.
where they don't trust themselves. So it's similar to somebody who's been in a bad relationship. Like you've had a few bad relations. Does that mean you stop dating?
No.
No, it's like maybe you take your time, you process this and that. And that's when it hit me. And the other passion started going. I was like, my passion is helping people. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. The tin man
Yeah.
needs oil. The lion needs bravery. My passion is like, all right, get the tin man oil, get this person bravery. And I love doing with different types of people, whether it's like an A type CEO,
Yeah.
or there's a professional, or it's a creative, or it's a busy mom, or it's somebody who's going through some stuff. Cause it's never the same. And I'm always curious. So when I used to be able to solve all these issues physically, it reached the point where I'm like, this doesn't satisfy me anymore. And so I need to be satisfied in other ways. So it's like satisfied in the other realms. So I'll tell people I get paid financially, but I also get paid emotionally, spiritually, connection wise, energy wise. And so that's my passion now is like unlocking that stuff that people already have
Mhm.
inside them. And sometimes you just need to teach them how powerful they really are.
Yeah.
And that's through like just being very curious. Giving a shit
Mhm.
is huge. They have to feel that. And just being skillful with asking questions. And there's different types of salespeople. They did this study. I'm what they call a challenger,
Mhm.
or I'm carefrontational.
I never heard of that term.
Yeah. So somebody who's carefrontational cares and will confront you on it in a kind way.
Oh, wow.
But it's permission based. I'm not doing it without your permission. I'm not doing it to you. I'm doing it for you.
Yeah.
Because, and I've had mentors do this to me too as well. Because I've had mentors or masterminds for like 12 years at least. I've never gone a year without a coach. And so I have coaches that will confront me, and I know they're doing it for my benefit. So learning to navigate that with different personalities is fun because it's never the same. We'll have somebody that came in recently, first like 2, 3 minutes, I knew she didn't want to be there.
Did she end up becoming a member? Did you get the
Oh yeah.
sale?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 And